Careful with that.
Hare Krishna. Want to start?
Yeah. When people come, they just come join us.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshwara Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakari Swansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Jaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So have we heard about the great king Ravan? Everyone's heard about Ravan? Anyone who doesn't know Ravan? You don't know who's Ravan? You have to tell him who's Ravan later on. You have to tell him who's Ravan later on. Right? So, the great king Ravan, or Ravana, he was convinced that he had to kidnap Sita, and he did that. But he wasn't very eager to face Lord Ram. Not at that point. So he ran away with Sita and flew back to his kingdom. And in Lanka, Lankapuri. He had kept Sita captive. So with the help of the Vanara king, Sugriva, and his men, Lord Ram could ultimately trace out Sita is in the ocean to the south. So he comes with a big army. The army of the Vanaras. Meanwhile, Sri Hanumanji has visited Lanka. They were not very happy with Hanuman because he had not come as a refugee, he did not have a visa, so they were not happy that Hanumanji was there. And then, single-handedly, he defeated an entire platoon of Ravan's fiercest soldiers. He also lost a son, Akshay Kumar. Not from Bollywood. He lost his son. So Ravan wanted to kill him. His wise brother Vibhishan intervened. He told him that this is just a messenger. So Ravana said, why do messengers create destruction? He says that he was just trying to protect himself. So they decided to put his tail on fire, and then the whole of Lanka started burning. So Sri Hanumanji goes back. By then the larger army hasn't come as yet. So within a few months, within a few weeks, a huge army is gathered across the ocean. So Ravana consults his ministers. What should I do? So some of them, then they inform him that you don't have to fear anyone. You have conquered the most powerful of all people. Your reign extends to the heavenly planets. And your son has also defeated the king of the Devatas, Indra. There were others that were convincing him that maybe you should just make friends with Lord Ram. The most vocal amongst them was Vibhishan. So Vibhishan would constantly be telling King Ravan that we should live at peace. We should try to make friends with Lord Ram. And Ravana would think about it, but there were others who were constantly instigating him. No. What would people think? Your reputation. Once you have laid claim over something, then you cannot give it back. There were those kind of people too. So finally Ravan got tired. That there is a few who want me to make peace with Ram. There are others who want me to take a stand against Ram. So one day, this was happening almost every day, because the army was right across. So this particular day, Vibhishan was really persistent. That is when Indrajit challenged him. My dear uncle, if you are fearful of Ram, then why don't you just go and seek shelter in some shelter home and just retire. So Vibhishan also spoke to him kindly. He told him that I'm speaking to my brother, we are elders here. And Indrajit is like, and I too am the crown prince. He was a crown prince. So all of this was getting too much for Ravan. So finally, he shouted at Vibhishan, just leave. But Ravan being Ravan, he had to really speak his mind. So all that was pent up within him since a few days. He's like, you are a coward. One rather not have a brother than have a brother like you. He was really very harsh. And finally he told him that before I change my mind and put you to death, leave. So sometimes it's very important to be prudent. It's very important. Why? Because then you get another chance to chant Hare Krishna. False bravado may prove detrimental. Now I'm going to just defy everything, all opposition, and then you may lose your opportunity to chant Hare Krishna. So false bravado. In Indian folklore, or there is this humorous story that is spoken about somebody who jumped into the waters to save the drowning prince. Do you know about it? Okay. So a king was having a party on a boat. There was a big crowd. So people are kind of being pushed this way and that. Suddenly they heard a splash and somebody shouted out, "The prince is in the waters." So for a moment people were taken aback. Then they heard another splash. One of the guests was in the waters. So somehow the guest manages to save the prince. So everyone is very happy and they're glorifying the guest. So later on, when things were a little quiet, he was amongst friends. He looked at them really fiercely and said, "Which one of you pushed me to the waters?" So things may not be as you see them to be. circumstances may not be exactly as you see them to be. So one must use one's discretion. Isn't it? One must use one's discretion. For what purpose? So that we could have another opportunity to chant the holy names of the Lord. Correct? So Vibhishan left the kingdom of Lanka and he flew through the airways to where Lord Ram's camp was. He had 4 of his close people with him. Meanwhile, in Lord Ram's camp, everyone was very tense. Do you know why?
He's on the enemy side.
No,
No?
they hadn't seen him as yet. So they were very tense. Why do you think they were tense? Because they were not listening to a story. Somebody was not narrating Ramayana to them. They were actually participating, they were going to participate in a war, a future war. So obviously they are going to be concerned. Won't you be concerned? So they were a little stressed. And then they see Vibhishan. Like Vibhishan is with his helmet and he has all of his Rakshasa qualities. You know? It's like how do I say it? Maybe somebody from North Korea comes up here, you're like, you identify them, isn't it? So, all the regalia of Lanka and 4 other people with him. Like, and according to the Ramayana, they were all floating there in the sky. Like they were just standing there in the sky. It's like 5 Iron Men or Superman, you know, like just they are standing there. They were not surprised. They did not think that these characters are from Marvel Comics. They were used to certain clan of people who could fly in the air. Sugriva was also there in the observatory. He was there with his people, his men, giving them some courage because there was to be war soon. So Sugriva looked up. Vibhishan looked down. Vibhishan did not say hi. That would have been dangerous for Vibhishan. Why? Because the people on the ground were all armed with surface-to-air missiles. So Vibhishan was very, very careful. He realized that first of all he had to convince them that he was harmless. So he told his friends, careful, no sudden movement at all. Just look at me. And he was looking at Sugriva. He realized that this is the king. Sugriv was very popular on social media. So Vibhishan had access to that. So he immediately understood this is Sugriv. So he told them, I am Vibhishan. I am the younger brother of Ravana, the king of the Rakshasas, and a very evil man. So when Sugriva hears that, he's confused. He's like, you're the younger brother of the most evil person? So he's trying to process that. Like, once upon a time, a man got pushed from someone behind him. A little man. So he was not very happy about it. He's like, how dare you? And he looks up and there's like a huge person, like 6 feet, 7 inches tall, well built. He's like a tiny person. How dare you? Oh. So the well-built person says, sorry man. That's all right. Next time just be careful. But later on when he was with his friends, he told them a story. He said, there was this huge person behind me and told him, next time, be careful. I'm letting you go. So that was a story that he had built up in his mind. However, in reality, he was confused because he had this intense emotion that he was pushed, and he looks back and he realizes, uh-oh, I could be hurt here. I could get hurt here. So he immediately changes his stance. When you do that constantly, your brain gets confused. Therefore, we should have very few surprises in our life. It's very helpful. The brain is a series of nervous connections which transmit impulses. It is very helpful to process information. However, when we use the same network to have a lot of spontaneity in our lives, it gets confused. Hence, we must train ourselves in knowledge, know how to work in this world. Why? Because then it is very easy for us to be at peace. The more one is in knowledge, the more one finds ways to be peaceful in life. Everyone knows that, right? Correct? Right? Therefore, when you get a new car, you want to know as much as you can about its functions. Why? So that you're peaceful, you're happy when you're using the car. Is it getting hot? Yeah? Isn't it? It's getting hot. I'm good, I can take off my jacket. I hope everyone else is feeling okay. So it says that Ravana is a very evil man, and he carried away Sita from Janasthan without her permission. He detained her in Lanka. I talked to him to return back Sita. I argued with him in various ways. He would not listen to me. And finally, I realized just as a person at death, a person whose death is imminent, is not eager to take any more medicines. Similarly, Ravana, who was bent upon causing harm to himself, was no longer open to good advice. Leaving my sons and my wife behind, I have come to seek the protection of Raghava. Ravana, he insulted me, spoke harshly to me, treated me like a slave. Please go and inform Lord Ram, who is the protector of the whole world, that I, Vibhishan, am waiting for his audience. So Vibhishan spoke very, very diplomatically. There are so many life lessons that we can learn from this. Life is not easy. Just because you're a good person doesn't mean that all parties would honor you. You may be a good person, however, in your past you may have connections that other parties are wary of. So diplomacy is very helpful. So Sugriva, he goes to Lord Ram, and in the presence of Lakshmi, this is Sugriva. He informs him, Ravana's younger brother Vibhishan, along with 4 others, has come seeking protection. And then he's also a king. He has a responsibility, just as many of us have responsibilities. So, he addresses Lord Ram as one who destroys all sins. Mighty armed Ram, the defeater of one's enemies. Considering the safety of all the Vanaras who have dedicated their lives to your cause, and also understanding that during war times, spies abound. I would exhort you to be very alert in your deliberations. This is a very strange situation. Your plan, your strategy, moving forward, should consider the welfare of your own people. And may you be safe. Sugriva here is also being very diplomatic. He doesn't directly tell Lord Ram that, don't trust him. Why? Because when you're with intelligent people, you respect their views, their viewpoints. Now, if you had put on a drama, do you think you would have included all of these dialogues? Therefore, when we watch the Ramayana in the drama form, then all we are left with are the impressions of Ravana was bad, he was heinous. Sita was a very brave lady, but helpless. Lord Ram was a righteous person, God. And then we are happy that in Hindi there is this typical way a story is told, or at least Maybe it is just a sarcastic way of how stories are. एक था राजा, एक थी रानी. दोनों खुश रहे, खत्म कहानी. Life is not like that. So Sugriva is being a very responsible person. He knows that Lord Ram is in charge. He knows about it. However, he also has concerns for his own people. But then he couldn't stop himself. Type A people, typically, what is it in today's time? What is it called as? Sigma. Right? Sigma? Type A. Alpha. So Sugriva is like alpha. An alpha person. Know that Rakshasas are heroic, crafty, cannot be trusted. Really, Lord Ram doesn't know that. He can't stop himself. He's like, because Lord Ram is not responding, he's not reacting. Anyone else would be like, Sugriva, what should we do? Don't worry, I'm here. But there's no response from Lord Ram. Sugriva wants to impress upon Lord Ram that this is a dangerous situation. They can change their form at will and they can move without being seen. So he's worried that Vibhishan could harm them. If this Rakshasa is a spy and he gains entry into our ranks, then he can create differences amongst us. Have you ever had that situation in a community? Like 4 people come together and they, hey, have you heard? These 5 other people, they're very notorious. I tell you. And the other people are like, yeah. Yes. None amongst them asks why. Groupism? Spies are very good, or people with ulterior motives are very good at making one group distrust another group. I don't have any interest in this, but I'm just speaking about your welfare. So this is Sugriva. He has that streak. And then, because Lord Ram is not responding anyway, he's like, all right, how else should I try and convince him? On the other hand, if Vibhishan is a very, very wily person, wise and wily, then he'll immediately understand our weaknesses and he would use those weaknesses against us. He will strike us when we trust him the most. Then he offers some good advice. A king's advice to another king. How should you choose friends? Here it's about army. Friends means what kind of people you should keep company of. Especially if it's hired men. Who should you hire? So it says an army of friends is very good. So is an army from the jungle. Because these people, you give them some remuneration and they will be yours. Also, an army that is bought. Mercenaries, you could trust them to work for money. Army obtained by any other means. However, never ever accept people into your army that have worked for your enemy. The king is never supposed to do that. Do you know why?
We could be spies.
They could be spies. So, do we have armies ourselves? We have money in the bank. We have invested in the stocks. If you want to trust someone, trust people that can be hired. However, be very careful to trust somebody that has been your opponent. You stand to lose. You can be kind to them, but trusting them with information about your assets. Because at one point of time they have opposed you. So anyone who has a certain responsibility and they have assets, this is good worldly advice from the Ramayana. So if he has come here, how do we trust him? Oh Ram, you're always very open-minded. He knows from experience, right? Like Sugriva came to Lord Ram and told him a story. And Lord Ram is like, yes, I will help you. Seems that Lord Ram is very naive. But Sugriva was happy that he trusted him. It turned out to be a good friendship. But now he's wondering whether this could harm him. If Vibhishan coming into this party could be harmful to him. Hence it tells Lord Ram that, oh Lord Ram, you are always very open-minded and kind. Vibhishan has been sent by Ravan. Underline that word, Ravan. So you may consider to have him arrested, I think. So, Lord Ram hears all of that. And being very, very wise, he opens up the discussion to his best of generals. He says, the highly reasonable words of advice given by the king of Vanaras about Ravana's brother was heard even by you. He's very careful not to use names. He's using titles. This is very important. Especially if you're having a business meeting, business dealings. It's very helpful to use titles. It makes the other people feel comfortable if they have some affiliation to those who hold titles. Alright? For example, if there is an event and you are with your husband or your wife, and at home you may have various names by which you address each other. But at the event, if either of you has a responsible position, you're like, Mataji. Or Prabhuji. At home it could be different. But right there, because they are having responsibility for a certain aspect of that event, you use their titles. The people around them are like, oh, Anyone who's new, they also address them reverentially. You don't have to spend time explaining to them, oh, they are in charge, they have this. No. Saves a lot of time. So that is what Lord Ram is doing. He's talking to all the leaders of the Vanaras. I'm specifically not calling them monkeys, because that is what I choose to do. Alright? You know why? It could be racist. That is why. So I addressed them by what they are called in the Ramayana. So Vanara. You know what is Vanara? Vanara. Vanara means they look very much human, but we are not really sure. Vanara. And at other places in the scriptures, it is explained that Sri Hanumanji and others, they come from the land of Kim Purushaloka. What is Kim Purushaloka? Kim Purusha. Now, because I have been trained to, the system, the education system here has trained me to think that the human is the most evolved species. Therefore, when I think of Vanara, I think like, oh, so they must be less evolved than humans. We never ever, it's very difficult to imagine that they could be more evolved than humans too. Because Vanara could be either one. The word Vanara could either mean that they are less evolved than humans, or they are more evolved than humans. Hence, we are not really sure whether they are human or not. Now, when you come to the Ramayana, we realize they are more evolved than humans. Like Nala is an engineer in those times, civil engineer. His brother Neela is his assistant. And Jambavan was a space explorer. In his own words, he had traveled around the earth 7 times in space, in his own words. And the sun included, the solar system. So we may not take it at face value, but at least maybe we can consider them to be evolved according to their times. So he asked the Vanaras. The Vanaras, the leaders, they spoke in unison. Oh Raghava, there is nothing unknown to you in the 3 worlds. You are asking us our opinion? This is so kind of you. And who does that in the modern world? People want to give opinions. The most cruel thing would be to address someone and say, what is your opinion? Forget it. Isn't it? So they said, thank you so much. We realize that you accept us as your friends. And you consider us to be your wise ministers. Therefore, we will try and give our perspectives. So first speaks Angad, the crown prince, the son of Vali. He speaks first. He says, since Vibhishan has come from the enemy camp suddenly, surely we have to be suspectful of him. We cannot trust him so easily. At the same time, he's here. We have to be careful that he doesn't put up a pretense externally. He may seem to be helpless. He may come with some information that could help us. But behind that facade could be a sharp mind, perceiving all our weaknesses and would use it against us. So we should look at the advantages and disadvantages of this situation and take the right course of action that would be helpful for us. If there is something virtuous, we should accept it, and if there is anything that could hurt us, then we should act accordingly. If Vibhishan has negative qualities, immediately he should be rejected. And if he has virtues, then we should accept him, for he may have information about the enemy. So this was Angad's perspective. Angad's friend and another great general, Sharabha. This character would never be seen in the television serials. Because, he just has one dialogue. So Sharabha, he also felt that he should give his perspective. He said, "O Lord Ram, let us put a trusted man to spy on him. And then we can collect data, we can examine his intentions, and we could act in an appropriate manner. Either accept him or arrest him." Jambavan, who had seen a lot of things in his life because he had lived long enough, Jambavan understood that life can be quite twisted, and life experiences too. So he comes up with his perspective. He says that it seems Vibhishan has a lot of bitterness towards his king, because the king is very sinful. That is what Vibhishan said, right? An evil man. So, considering where we are right now, we are on the battlefield. Considering that, we should be a little suspicious of a person that has such bitterness in them. Interesting point. This comes from a lot of experience. When we are young, everything seems bitter, which does not agree with our perspective. Everything seems bitter. Like, you hate me, you never liked me, I hate you. But when you have seen life, you understand that people are not always who they are. Sometimes just their emotions appear to be very explosive. However, we have also learned to understand true bitterness. So that is Jambavan. He says, bitter people cannot be trusted. Because they have so much bitterness in them. They are always unsteady in life. Just because of the bitterness. Mahinda, who is the brother of Dvividha, Mahinda, a great warrior himself, and possessing a sharp intellect. Mahinda was a very good policy maker. He knew what would work, what can work, and what wouldn't. Like, Mahinda would never be a person who would say that tomorrow onwards I'm going to wake up at 4 o'clock, come whatever. And then When the alarm goes up at 4 o'clock, you hit the snooze button. So Mahinda would never make a policy like that. Mahinda is like, okay, if I'm used to waking up at 8 o'clock, tomorrow I'll try to wake up at 7:30. So that is Mahinda. Intellectual person. He was very good with his expressions. Sweet talker. Always logical. He said, "Oh Raghava, you're Amara. You're Amara means you're the king of all mortals." Sometimes we think Amara just means that you are immortal. But another meaning for Amara is that you're the king of the mortals. This is Ravana's brother Vibhishan. We should try to gain his confidence. And slowly but surely we should try and extract information from him. And this should be done by trained people. And then we can ascertain what his intentions are and act wisely. Now Hanumanji spoke up. Alright? So we have Sugriva speaking, we have 4 other people speaking. We have Vibhishan come with 4 other people. So Ramayana is very interesting. The way, if you look at it from various perspectives, no? Have a different kind of vision. Vibhishan had come with 4 people. Vibhishan is the leader. And here we have Sugriva speak and 4 other of his men also offer their perspectives. So Valmiki ji is already indicating here that Hanumanji is going to be different from both parties. So be ready. Alright? Hanumanji is going to present perspectives that would honor the words of Sugriva and at the same time it would favor Vibhishan. Okay? So he says, "My dear Lord, you yourself are the most intelligent of all people. Therefore, when I speak, it is not that I am trying to speak to gain any kind of superiority. It is not that I want to speak because I am being judgmental. It is not that I want to gain your respect or your trust. I don't want to be argumentative. I'm giving my perspective. I don't want to create frictions. That is not my intent." Then why are you speaking, Hanumanji? So it says, "I'm just speaking out of respect for you. My dear Lord, you asked us. And since you have asked us, I'm speaking." Now, all the others also have a lot of respect for Lord Ram. However, in today's times, how important it is to tell someone explicitly in words what your feelings are. Otherwise, you get misunderstood. "Oh, what happened? Why are you not talking to me today? But today morning you did not say I love you." "But I love you." You did not say it. "Okay, I'm sorry." "Yeah, now you're sorry, but you don't mean it." So it's very important to speak explicitly. The others did not do it. Hanumanji does it. Now you know why Hanumanji does not get into any personal troubles. He has absolutely no issues at home with anyone. Have you ever heard about Hanuman having issues? Vali had an issue. Sugriva had an issue. Angad has issues. Vali's wife has issues. Sugriva's wife has issues. Hanumanji never has issues. Because he speaks very explicitly. And good morning, thank you, things like that. So now Lord Ram is smiling. Hanumanji says, your counselors have said, have offered their opinion after judging good and bad qualities, good and bad qualities, which should make us either accept or reject Vibhishan. But I see a slight problem with that perspective, with that approach. Somebody said that we should capture him and slowly we should try to see whether he is favorable towards us or is not favorable towards us. Hanumanji says that for somebody to act favorably, you have to give them some task. Right? Just imagine the first day at school and you're pulled up like, so what did I do? You did not do this. You did not do your homework. And you're like, first day at school? What homework? So, to see whether we are good at doing homework, you have to spend at least one day at school and they give you some work. Hanumanji says that is not possible in this case. What work are you going to entrust unto Vibhishan? So, good idea. However, it's not helpful. Therefore, there is no way we can judge whether he is favorable towards us or he is against us. Then somebody said that we should have spies follow him. And Hanumanji is like, he's already entering our camps. By the time the spy finds out about him, he's already done what he wants to do. So again, this proposal is not very helpful. Vibhishan himself knows that coming to Lord Ram's side could be very dangerous for him. Now, sometimes there is friendly fire. Everyone knows what's friendly fire, or there's collateral damage. So he knows that this is a danger zone. Despite that, he's here. So do you think that if we put him in jail or if we arrest him, we are going to gain anything out of it? So that proposal is also not helpful. Finally, he says, Vibhishan knew that this is the proper time, the proper place. He also is here because he considers you to be a better person than Ravana, and he is very well convinced that the demerits in Ravana disqualify him as a king, and your merits they are the very abode for anyone who wants to take shelter. What Hanumanji is doing here is very intelligent. He is trying to pull at the Lord's heart, the strings there. Like if someone comes and tells you that I'm leaving that person because that person doesn't have the good qualities that you have. Now Vibhishan has already had some dealings with Hanumanji previously. Or Hanumanji has had some dealings with Vibhishan. He's like, alright, after this we're getting even. I don't like to have to be in debt to someone else. A very, very important lesson while we're leading life in this world. For the moment, it gives you a happy feeling, knowing that you can trust someone so much so that you can be in their debt. However, it is not very good for a self-esteem to be in debt. I'm not sure if it happens here, but because I've spent a lot of time in India, you know how casually, this is in Hindi, so if you can understand Hindi, let me know. अरे ये तो अपना ही भाई है. अरे क्या हो गया ये? All right.
The seat opened.
Yeah. Is it voice activated? Or is there a jinn inside this?
Hindi
How,
activated.
Hindi activated, right? How does it go back? बंद हो जा से.
You need to push it, right?
Or maybe this chair doesn't like me speaking out Hanumanji in those terms.
It wants you to relax.
Thank you. What did I do? So this is very helpful in our day-to-day affairs. Try not to have that kind of approach in life. This is for family, you know. You can take as much advantage of them as you want. You know why? A family is there to support you. A family is not a well that you dry up. Nor any other relationships. Occasionally, you know, when you are thirsty, you draw water from a well. But you don't empty it out. So, Hanumanji is giving his perspective. Lord Ram hears all of that. And he knows that they could be harmed. And therefore is very eager to take your shelter so that you can assure him that his family would be protected. To be protected. So, O wise Ram, this is my opinion. And he kept quiet. Lord Ram heard Hanuman. He was very happy at heart. And then Lord Ram, he said, even I desire to speak a few words about Vibhishan. And people like Lord Ram, do you follow Vibhishan on social media? So Lord Ram says, although Vibhishan has defects, he has come here as a friend. I cannot reject him. Good people are not reprehensible. This is very interesting. It seems that he's speaking about Vibhishan, but he's indirectly also speaking about himself. He's saying that not only should good people be accepted, he's saying that good people should also trust other good people. Sugriva, when he heard this, he said, my dear Lord, that is your desire. Let this Rakshasa, whether he is wicked or he is not wicked, let him come. What do we have to worry about him? He has come here being abandoned by his brother. And who will not send away such a person? Because what could he do? He knows, come here in a cowardly manner, running away from his brother. So Yes, you're correct. We have nothing to fear of a coward. On hearing these words, Lord Ram smiled more. And he looked at Lakshman and he said, only a well-educated person in the manners of a king could speak as Sugriva is speaking. This is very, very pertinent. It strikes me in this regard that it is known for kings to be suspicious of everyone at the court. And only a king is comfortable when the king knows, is sure of one's prowess and others' cowardly deeds. Lord Ram is smiling at Lakshman and is saying that, do you remember Lakshman? 4 months ago, Sugriva had come to me and he was in a similar situation. Sugriva was requesting Lord Ram to help him. And then Lord Ram says to Vibhishan something very important. Because to Sugriva. Because Vibhishan was just accepting Lord Ram's words because he trusted him. So he said, my dear Lord, please always remember that he has been sent by Ravan. I still consider that he should be captured. And I'm concerned about you. When all of us have our defenses down, he could strike at you, or he could strike at me, or he could strike on Lakshman. And then we'll be lost. So the others in the army, they felt that Sugriva's concern were justified. Then Lord Ram says that whoever this Rakshasa may be, Sukshmyapi ahit kartum mamakshakta kathanchana. Whoever this person may be, Sugriva, do you really think he could harm me in any way, in any possible way? Who do you think I am? O King of the Vanara troops, if I desire, then with the tip of my toe, I can kill all the Rakshasas, all the Yakshas, all the devils, the complete opposition. So now Lord Ram is expressing his position of being God. He says, Angulyagrena tan hanyam ichhan Hariganeshwara. Harigan. So Hari is also used to, it is a synonym for Vanaras. So Harigan. So sometimes we are very happy to call ourselves Lord Ram's army of monkeys. Harigan. So Harigan means the horde of Vanaras. He is Ishwara, Hariganeshwara. Angulya Grena. Tanhanya. All of them, just with the little pressure that I exert with the tip of my big toe, I can vanquish all of them. And the Lord is not speaking just empty words, He's speaking the truth. What Lord Ram does here is very interesting. He starts quoting from scripture, which has not been done by anyone. He quotes from a Puran, the story of a dove that had offered its own flesh, its own meat as food to a meat eater who had come as a guest to his house. So a hunter would hunt birds and eat them, had rested under the tree on which they had this nest. So they felt that this is our guest. And then the hunter sees the bird couple and he kills the female bird. And he says, "Oh, I'm still hungry." So the male dove comes up to the hunter and says, "Sir, you are a guest. So if you're not happy with the amount of meat that my wife's body has, I offer myself unto you." So Lord Ram says, this is the story about how one should be hospitable to someone who's come to your shelter, your place, your home, your residence. In today's times, you would like to scan them properly. Why? Because many a times we have also put ourselves in positions where people distrust us. Is that true? So in a world where we ourselves are very trustworthy, so in a world like that, you can welcome guests too. But we ourselves have not proven to be trustworthy. Obviously, there could be a situation where somebody else could break our trust. So be careful. These examples in scriptures about hospitality should be understood very, very practically. Very practically. The dove knew the intent of the hunter because the dove was very much educated in the ways of the hunter, did not know the hunter personally, but was well educated in the ways of the hunter. So the dove knew exactly what to expect. In today's times, we are not educated with the ways of the world. We do not have sufficient information. We hardly care about who lives next door. Rented out your place to somebody else, your basement, and then you only know the person that has signed the lease. But anyone else, you're like, okay, I cannot intrude on their privacy. So, living in such circumstances, what is the principle? The principle is, whenever there is an opportunity to be hospitable, give it your best. Don't hold back. Because that is the only opportunity that we are going to have in Kali Yuga. If you have the opportunity where it's safe for you, where you feel comfortable being kind, give it your best shot. Try not to overdo. Try not to overdo. Why is that? Because when you overdo, you're doing it in ignorance and not in knowledge. Is it alright? For example, somehow or the other, people feel that being kind means offering a lot. Like if you're eating chapatis, they're like, please take one more, please take one more, please take one more, please take. So either we are not going to come back again. Like, oh, no more there because they give us 2 more. Yes? So when we try to overdo it, it is being done in ignorance. You really want them to have more, and if they say no, give them a takeaway box, to-go box. And that was what was the practice. The Brahmanas would come to your place in days of the past, then you would take all the offerings that was made in that ceremony and you would pack it and give it to them. Please take it back with you. That's perfectly alright. Do you know the story about Arjuna wanting to get some money for Yudhishthir's sacrifice? So Yudhishthir told Arjuna, I'm broke. He was broke. So Krishna told Arjuna, don't worry, I have a plan. I have contacts. So Krishna took Arjuna on his chariot. Somehow Krishna has this information overload. He has so much data with him. So he takes him to the north, into the Himalayas. And they reach a mountain peak. And at the base of the mountain peak, they find a lot of gold utensils. Like gold plates, gold aarti plates, gold bowls, spoons, different other. So Arjuna is like hundreds upon thousands of such items are there. So Arjuna looks at that and he realizes that all our needs are satisfied here. So Arjuna calls up Yudhishthira Maharaj and says, please send a U-Haul, a pickup truck or something like that. So they gather everything and put it in the pickup truck and they bring it back for the sacrifice. Then Arjuna asks Krishna, what is all this gold here lying around? Krishna says, one of your ancestors, like few generations back, his name was Mandhata. He did a huge sacrifice in which he offered a lot of gold utensils to the Brahmanas. Why did he offer them? Because he asked each of the Brahmins, please sit down and have prasad, and the Brahman said, and he had this gold plates, gold bowls, spoons and all other, whatever was needed for them to have prasad. And they said, my dear king, thank you for making this offer. However, we would like to go home. So he said, all right, since this is already for your usage, please take it with you. So the Brahmanas thanked him and they picked up all of that. And as they were leaving, they're like, what are we going to do with all of this gold? So they just left it right there. Any passerby would come and they would take it if they needed it. Who happened to be the passerby? Arjuna. And who brought him there? Krishna. So what did Krishna do? Krishna brought him to take over the leftovers of his ancestor. Interesting. So he brings all of that for the sacrifice. Okay? So if you have a to-go thing and you feel that you don't need it at home, drop it at a homeless shelter or somewhere. Would be happy to have some food, isn't it? So he tells the story from the Puranas. Now everyone is, all of them, you know how stories are? It wakes up people from sleep, right? Stories are like that. I remember one time I was talking to a little girl after the program at the temple. Her parents were there and they would come. A nice family. I was talking to the girl and I was like, I was offering praise to the parents, like, you have really trained up your child so well. She keeps so quiet in the temple hall. So I looked at the girl and she said, and I asked her, how is it that you stay so quiet in the temple hall? Do you know why you should stay quiet in the temple hall? She says, yes, because we do not want to disturb others' sleep. So I'm like, all right. So this is how the conversation goes at home. stories. So now Sugriv is all ears. He likes stories too. Isn't it? Lord Ram is such a wonderful person, such a great personality. First of all, he tells, he kind of rebukes Sugriv, like, do you think any of the Rakshasas or whatever they are, it could harm me even to the slightest? Do you know the capabilities of my big toe? Let me tell you about it. You know, sometimes like people have some abilities, they can move their eyebrows in different ways and they can pitch their ear. What is your gift? I asked a friend once, they took out their tongue and touched the tip of it. This is their gift. Try it. It's not so easy. Vanquished. And they're like, oh, tell us more. Can you show it to us? Like, we want people to show them your gifts. Can you do that again? He says, no, story time. Let me tell you the story about the dove. And then he tells them the instructions by one great rishi called as Kandumani. From the Kandu Upanishad. These instructions Lord Ram knows. So when Lord Ram, he explains his perspective, he uses scriptures too, which is very helpful. And finally, when he concludes that we should be at least as good as the dove in offering hospitality, we should follow the instructions given by Kandu Rishi. Then he quotes this sweet verse. He says, Sakrideva prapannaya tavasmiti tyachite. My dear Lord, I'm a little upset with you. Now, Sugriva did not know that Rohini Priyadas had a spy camera here. He thought he was all alone. He did not know that this conversation was being recorded. If he had known that, he would have shut down the camera and we wouldn't have any information. Alright? So are we happy that we have this information? He's a little upset. I mean, how did I ever turn you into zombies that you're happy without even knowing what you have to be happy about? My dear Lord, I'm a little upset with you. Lord Ram says, why? Why is that? He says, you asked for my advice and you did not follow it. And my Lord, and the Lord says, Sugriva, across my heart, I accepted your advice. I did exactly what you told me to do. I said, what? And I captured him for life. And Sugriva is like, does grieve. When will you understand? So that is the Supreme Lord Ram. Through this episode, the Lord has revealed his heart and also his commitment. So next time, if you get an opportunity to meet Lord Ram, you can show him his commitment. My dear Lord, remember these words? This is there in Ramayana Yuddha Kand. Adhyay 17, chapter 17, 18. Here you say, Dadami etat vratam mama. This is my vrata, this is my vow. Abhayam sarva bhutebhyo. I offer them protection from all, from everything that exists. Complete protection. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.